There is a secret hidden within every meeting and every farewell, a silent truth most people never hear. No one enters your life by accident. You think it's just coincidence a stranger appears right when you need hope. A lover arrives like light and fades like smoke. A friend betrays you the moment you trust them most. But coincidence is merely the name we give to patterns we are not yet conscious enough to see. Carl Jung did not believe in luck. He believed in meaning, in the synchronicity between soul and reality. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And that means every person who has ever touched your life, whether through love or through pain, was never random. Every encounter is the unconscious finding a way to speak to you through the shape of another human being. The universe does not send people to comfort you. It sends them to reveal you. Each person is a mirror, reflecting the parts of you you've buried, the parts you fear to face, the parts you've not yet learned to love. Those who are gentle remind you of your own light. Those who are cruel show you where the wound still bleeds. And the ones you can't forget, they were sent to awaken something ancient within you, something your soul once promised to learn long before this lifetime began. So don't call them mistakes. They are messages. They come to expose what still needs healing, to dismantle the illusions you still cling to remind you that your soul did not come here for comfort, it came here for wholeness. When you understand that people do not enter your life by chance, you stop asking, why did they hurt me? And begin asking, what were they sent to teach me? And the moment that question changes, the real healing begins, because that is the moment you step out of the role of the victim and into the role of the awakened one, the one who finally sees the hand of the universe, orchestrating every encounter, every loss, every love, as a sacred dance of the soul. Chapter 1. No one comes to us by chance. Within the seemingly chaotic current of life, there are meetings that appear random, yet are intricately arranged by an invisible intelligence, what Carl Jung called the purposeful unconscious. No one accidentally walks into your life. Every person arrives carrying a mirror, a lesson, a role in the awakening of your soul. We often believe people come to bring us joy, love, or companionship. But at a deeper level, they come to help us see. For we cannot see ourselves without reflection. The lover who once set your heart ablaze and later broke it is the mirror, revealing what you've attached your existence to. The betrayer did not appear to destroy your trust, but to force you to face the fear of abandonment you've been avoiding since childhood. The cold one, the manipulator, the one who constantly makes you doubt yourself, they are the shadows of the fragments of your own soul you once rejected. Jung said, whatever you deny in yourself will appear in others. So when someone hurts you deeply, understand that they are playing a role written by your unconscious. They were summoned by the parts of you still needing light, awareness, and recognition. No one comes to destroy you. They come to awaken you. Some teach love, others teach limits. Some make you fall into the depths of pain only to make you rediscover your inner strength. All of them are assignments your soul sent to itself through the hands of fate. When you meet the right, wrong person, it isn't punishment, it's an invitation to rise into a new frequency of awareness. The universe never speaks in words. It speaks through people. Every person who appears in your life is a message walking on two legs. Some arrive to open love, some to stir your darkness, some to teach you that you need no one to be whole. Those who leave take nothing from you. They only carry away the parts you have outgrown. When you begin to see life through Jung's eyes, you realize nothing is meaningless. The ones who hurt you, the ones you lost, the fleeting encounters that made your heart tremble for a second and disappeared forever, all are soul touch points. Every handshake, every glance, every romance, every betrayal is a fragment of the same picture, the painting your soul is creating to remember itself. So next time you ask, why did I meet this person? Don't seek the answer in reason. Listen to your soul. Perhaps they came to remind you to love yourself. Perhaps they came to teach you to say enough. Or perhaps they came only to plant a seed of awareness so that one day, when you are ready, it will bloom into understanding. That nothing that ever happened, good or bad, sweet or bitter, was random. Each person is a letter from the universe, arriving precisely when you are ready to read it. And when you begin to understand that language, you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin to whisper, "Thank you. I understand now. I am awakening." Chapter 2. The Mirrors of the Unconscious. Carl Jung once said, "We do not meet others, we meet ourselves in them." It sounds simple, yet it holds an entire universe of truth. For every person you've ever loved, hated, feared, or been wounded by is a fragment of yourself trying to return home. The universe doesn't send us random people. It sends us mirrors. And through each mirror, your soul glimpses unresolved memories, unhealed wounds, and truths your mind wasn't ready to accept. Think about it. When someone makes you angry, they're not giving you anger, they're triggering it, revealing the buried emotion you never allowed yourself to feel. When someone makes you fall deeply in love, it isn't just romance, it's your soul recognizing in them the light you once forgot you carried. And when someone leaves, leaving an aching emptiness behind, they haven't taken anything from you, they've brought to the surface your oldest wound, the fear of abandonment. Every strong emotional reaction is a conversation between you and your own shadow. The people in your life are merely messengers carrying telegrams your soul wrote long ago. See me, heal me, remember me. The unconscious never speaks directly, it speaks through relationships, through the gaze that makes your heart tremble, through the betrayal that breaks you, through the silence that makes you doubt yourself. In Jung's language, this is projection. When we haven't integrated our shadow, we see it in others. The person you call cold may reflect the hardness you once needed to survive. The one you call selfish may mirror the buried part of you, longing to be cared for after years of self-sacrifice. The one who makes you feel small may simply amplify your fear of not being enough. Every reaction is a mirror. Every relationship is a classroom. And every pain is the final exam your soul must pass to evolve. View your life as a dream unfolding. In this dream, every character is not someone else but a symbol. Jung called them archetypes, living patterns within the collective unconscious. The person you love might embody anima, the feminine energy you seek to reunite with. The one who terrifies you may represent shadow, the denied part of you. The mentor or inspirer may embody the wise old man, the deep inner wisdom calling you forward. They are all you. They are all pieces of your soul speaking to each other through the play of life. When you begin to see this, something miraculous happens. You stop reacting and start observing. You no longer ask, "Why did he do that?" But instead, "Why did a part of me attract this?" When the question changes, the energy changes. When the energy changes, reality transforms. You stop running from pain, you sit with it, look it in the eyes and say, "I'm ready to listen." Oh, and then what you feared most begins to dissolve. Because light does not destroy darkness, it sees it. And in being seen, darkness loses its power. Likewise, the person who hurt you most often ends up giving you the greatest gift, the chance to become whole. These souls may walk with you only for a time. They may make you cry through long nights, or force you to learn to stand alone, but they never arrive too soon or too late. They appear precisely when you are ready to face a part of yourself no prayer or book could reveal. Eventually, you understand. People don't show up to complete you, they show up to expose you. Not to love you in the way you want, but to teach you to love yourself. Not to stay forever, but to activate your awakening. And when the lesson is complete, they leave not because they are cruel, but because your soul has graduated from that level of reflection. Jung said, "Others are the path that leads us back to ourselves." And when you truly grasp this, you begin to feel gratitude instead of resentment, calm instead of confusion, freedom instead of attachment. You realize there are no coincidences, no wrong people, only open doors within you. Every soul that touches you leaves a mark that says, You are on the right path. Your journey home has begun. Chapter 3. Soul Contracts Before Meeting. If you have ever looked into a stranger's eyes and felt your heart tremble as if your soul remembered something ancient that is not imagination, that is memory, not of the mind, but of the soul. Carl Jung believed that beneath all human differences lies an ocean of collective unconscious, a realm where all souls are connected. Within that space, soul contracts are formed. We meet not by coincidence, but because we once promised we would. Before entering this lifetime, your soul may have agreed, I will learn about boundaries, and I need someone to break them. Someone else agreed to play the role of the betrayer. Another said, I will help you remember that you are worthy of love. They come as friends, teachers, lovers, or strangers, each playing a role written in an invisible script. Yet, when the veil of memory is lifted so we can truly experience life, we forget that promise. We see only pain, loss, and betrayal, not realizing these are sacred initiations our souls chose long ago. Those who move you deeply at first sight are rarely new. They are returning. Your soul recognizes them like a familiar melody rising again in the night. You feel safe, known, as if you've met before. That's the energy of remembrance. Jung called it synchronicity, meaningful coincidence, where the personal and collective unconscious intersect. In that instant, the universe aligns every detail, every glance, every moment, so two souls can meet again, right when both are ready for a new lesson. Not everyone is meant to stay. Some souls pass through like wind. They come to stir the still waters within you so that your depths can begin to move. They may break you, but in that breaking, the light of awareness finally seeps in. Jung said, there is no awakening without pain. Those who shatter your heart are simply fulfilling their promise to crack the old shell so that you may step into a new stage of evolution. Imagine your life as a journey through temples. Each person you meet is a sacred temple holding a secret. Some are filled with calm incense, others burn with red fire and smoke, but all are necessary paths to rediscover yourself. Relationships are not random, they are markers on the soul's map of growth. They appear precisely when you are strong enough to endure the lesson, but still soft enough to receive it. When someone enters your life and turns it upside down, don't just look with human eyes, look with the eyes of the soul. Ask, what have they come to teach me? What part of me are they mirroring? Perhaps the lesson is self-respect. Perhaps it's letting go. Perhaps it's learning to love without losing yourself. But one thing is certain, they did not come to cause meaningless suffering. Every soul plays a role, and once the role is complete, they will leave, allowing you to move to the next chapter. The deeper you grow spiritually, the less you resent, because you understand there are no bad people, only teachers in difficult disguise. The one who made you lose is the one who taught you to value. The one who hurt you taught you boundaries. The one who left you lonely taught you self-love, and the one who broke you taught you how to rise with the strength of your soul. When you realize every relationship is written by the unconscious, you begin to trust the deeper order of life. You stop asking, why did I meet them? And start whispering, thank you for coming, even if only once. For every soul that passes through, whether through laughter or tears, carves an imprint of evolution within you. They are part of you, as you are part of them, both fulfilling an ancient contract. We will help each other remember the light. And that is why no one comes to you by chance. Every encounter is a synchrony of souls, a harmony woven of destiny, lessons, love, and growth. Every handshake, every glance, every heartbeat shared is a signal. Your soul continues its journey, the journey of finding yourself through the face of another. Chapter 4. The people who come to awaken you. Not everyone who enters your life comes to love, support, or accompany you. Some are sent with a more sacred assignment, to awaken you. They are not the good people in your story, but they are necessary for your soul's evolution. Carl Jung called them shadow carriers, souls chosen to touch the deepest places you would rather never see. At first, they arrive wrapped in enchantment. Maybe they set your heart vibrating with a look, a word, or an inexplicable familiarity. You feel as if you've met them somewhere before, as if they are the one you've been searching for all your life. But what you truly find is not your other half. It is the unconscious part of yourself, wearing someone else's face to step into the light. And when that light shines, everything hidden within you begins to surface. Fear, jealousy, unworthiness, suppressed anger, the emptiness disguised as contentment. You call it love, but in truth it is awakening. For when the other person begins to touch your wounds, not to harm you deliberately, but because they are the perfect mirror, you start to see yourself more clearly than ever before. Everything you've avoided, rationalized, or denied rises up and demands to be seen. You can no longer hide in the safety of, "I'm fine," or "everything's okay." They strip that mask away, sometimes with love, sometimes with betrayal. There are people who send you plunging into chasms of emotion, only so your soul can learn to rise on its true wings. Some make you hurt so much that you're forced to face the truth. You've given away your power for far too long. Some go silent, vanish, and compel you to realize that no one can be your ending but you. And in that very moment, the one that feels like abandonment, you begin to understand they did not come to complete you, but to compel you to complete yourself. Jung said, "No one becomes enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. The ones who come to awaken you are darkness given human shape. They bring tests, friction, even chaos. So the light in you must rise. As fire only flares when there is friction, the soul only expands when it is touched by unseen corners." Sometimes you'll ask, why would they do this? Why must it hurt so much? But if you pause and look deeper, you'll see pain does not come to kill you, it comes to free you. It teaches you that real love is not fusion, but respect. It teaches you that forgiveness doesn't mean acceptance, it means laying down the burden. It teaches you that your worth does not depend on who stays or leaves, but on the way you stand when no one is beside you. Those who awaken you rarely stay. They come, shake your world, and disappear, leaving a space just wide enough for light to pour in. When they leave, you'll think they destroyed you. Yet later, when the pain has quieted, you realize they only cleared away what no longer served your soul. They took your illusions, your outdated beliefs, the bindings you once called safety. They took nothing from you, they returned you to yourself. That is the soul's awakening, not loud or glittering, but profound, like an earthquake reshaping the strata within. You begin to see with new eyes, those who hurt you are no longer enemies, but couriers bearing God's message. You stop asking, "Why was I wounded?" and start asking, "What is this wound trying to say?" And then, one day, when someone arrives with the same chaotic energy, you no longer panic or fall into the old spiral. You simply smile, breathe slowly, and recognize, "I've been here. I know the lesson." In that moment, the cycle of awakening completes. You no longer need anyone to wake you, because you have become the one who is awake. Honor the ones who came to awaken you, even if they broke your heart. For through those cracks the light entered, and once you have seen, you cannot unsee. You are different forever. Chapter 5. When the darkness in you begins to speak. There is a phase in healing that everyone must pass through, a phase when light is no longer enough to lull you, and darkness begins to speak. Jung called it nigredo, the black stage of the soul, when what has long been hidden in the unconscious rises to the surface. It is not punishment, it is an invitation. And the one who sets it in motion is often someone you once loved. When a relationship fractures, when trust collapses, when you feel abandoned in confusion, what truly breaks is not your heart, it is the illusion you carried. You believed love could heal everything, that if you were good enough, gentle enough, patient enough, the other would change. Then reality arrives, cool and precise, tearing the dream so you can see. The one who needs healing is you, not them, and in that instant your darkness begins to speak. At first it speaks in anger. Why did they do this? Then in fear, am I enough? then in heaviness, hollowness, and nameless sighs. You think you are losing them, but in truth you are facing the part of yourself you handed over to them for too long. With no one left to blame and no one to cling to, you are forced inward where old memories, ancient hurts, and the forgotten cries of your soul begin to echo. Jung said, "You cannot become whole without confronting your own darkness." Those who hurt you hold a mirror sharp enough to reflect that part. They make you see that you once lived with the illusion that love equals endurance, that acceptance equals salvation, that gentleness equals holiness. But when the darkness begins to speak, it whispers a different truth. Love is not self-erasure. Forgiveness does not mean staying. True light can only be born from the center of truth, not from the fear of being left. You begin to hear more clearly. The anger is not to destroy, but to liberate. The pain is not to punish, but to awaken. The tears you once hid in shame are the stream washing away memories your soul has carried for too long. You learn to sit in silence, not to forget, but to listen. You learn to watch emotions like feral children screaming, only because they were abandoned for so long. The one who hurt you becomes a symbol. They stand for an archetype you must reconcile. Perhaps the father who never praised you, the mother who over-controlled, the friend you trusted who betrayed you. When you see that, you understand that each present relationship is a replica triggered by an old pattern. To break the pattern, you don't need to fight them. You need only let your darkness finish its sentence. Listen until you know that no one can render you worthless unless you believe them. Listen until you realize suffering didn't come to imprison you, but to teach you boundaries. Listen until you can place a hand over your heart and say, "I have been lost, but I am coming home." Gradually, the voice in the dark changes. It's no longer a scream, but guidance. It says, "Now rise. See how long you have lived shrunken. Open your eyes and step into the light you have always feared." This is the shift from nigredo to albedo, from darkness to light. Crossing that threshold, you are no longer who you were. You no longer need love to feel enough. You no longer need to be saved. You begin to understand that everyone who came and left was part of a larger design, a design meant to help you see yourself in all things. And once you have heard your darkness speak, you no longer fear it. You recognize that darkness is not the enemy. It is your most honest friend. It does not flatter. It does not pretend. It points unerringly to the places you have yet to love yourself. Jung said, "Where darkness reigns, if you are brave enough to light a candle, you will find God waiting." And so it is the light you sought in others, in approval, in love, has always been within you. You can only find it when you are courageous enough to walk through the night of the soul. Those who hurt you and the memories that felled you are not the end, they are the door. And when you step through, something miraculous happens. You no longer need anyone to awaken you. For the first time, you are the one who is awake. Chapter 6. When the soul learns to let go. At some point, after all the breaking, anger, and awakenings, your soul will grow tired. Not the kind of tired that makes you collapse, but the weariness of a warrior who has crossed too many inner battlefields where you realize that true victory is not in holding on, but in letting go. Carl Jung once said, "You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become." And it is in letting go that your soul begins to choose, no longer choosing fear, but choosing freedom. Letting go is not giving up, and it is certainly not losing. Letting go is looking straight at what you once gripped so tightly and gently, saying, "Thank you, but I don't need to hold you anymore." It is the moment you understand that no one truly belongs to anyone, that those who shattered your heart, vanished without a word, or drove you to your knees begging for answers, never owed you anything beyond the lesson they carried. And once the lesson is complete, their leaving is no longer betrayal. It is the fulfillment of a soul contract. When you haven't learned this yet, you keep clinging, trying to understand, trying to seal every door with a reason. But the soul does not move by logic, it moves by the rhythm of evolution. When the time of a connection has ended, energy begins to contract. Conversations grow forced, intimacy turns to distance, and every attempt to hold on only wounds you both more deeply. That is when the universe whispers, "It's enough." Yet we, out of ego's habit, beg for more time because we're not used to the emptiness of the quiet. Then, one day, you are too tired to hold on. You exhale, no more blaming, no more explaining, no more messages demanding fairness. And in that very moment, something strange appears peace. Not because they came back, but because you stopped fighting reality. You stopped trying to rewrite the story. You stopped asking why and began saying, okay. Letting go doesn't happen in a single instant. It is the process of the soul drawing its energy back to center. You stop looking outward for answers. You stop checking your phone, stop waiting for messages, stop hunting for signs. Instead, you look within and for the first time, you truly see yourself. You realize that what you feared most wasn't losing them, but facing the space they left. And then you discover that space isn't a pit. It is a door. In that silence, you hear your soul say, "I have chased for too long. Now sit." And when you sit, everything begins to melt. Resentment dissolves, craving dissolves, obsession dissolves. What remains is space, and in that space, something tender emerges. Gratitude. You begin to thank even what once hurt you. You thank the refusals, for they forced you to choose yourself. You thank the silence, for it taught you to hear your own voice. You thank the departures, for they cleared the way for your return. Jung calls this individuation integration. When you let go, you don't lose. You recover what was fragmented. The part of you that once begged to be loved begins to learn to love itself. The part that feared loneliness begins to find that solitude is the sacred space of freedom. The part that thought it wasn't enough realizes there is nothing to prove. And that is when you shift from reaction to presence. Letting go is the ego's hardest lesson because it asks you to trust what you cannot see. You don't know what is coming, but you trust it will be right. You don't know who will appear, but you trust they will be true. You don't know where you will go, but you trust the feet that carry you. That is real faith, not faith in others, but faith in the pulse of your own soul. And then, when you truly let go, you witness the miracle. What leaves no longer hurts you, it lightens you. You walk on without looking back. You don't need closure because you are the closure. You don't need to be understood because you understand yourself. You don't need their "I'm sorry" because you have already said thank you. Oh, in letting go, your soul loses no one. It only sheds the illusions that bound it. And when illusions dissolve, what is real begins to bloom. Peace without dependency, love without conditions, freedom without fear. You recognize that what you once called loss was the universe making room for what is truly worthy to arrive. Because sometimes to fly higher, the soul must release its old wings. And when you lay them down, you will hear the universe whisper in the wind, "Now you are ready." Chapter 7, When Silence Becomes the Voice of the Soul. After passing through pain and releasing what is old, your soul enters a curious state, silence. No more anger, no more resentment, no more hunger for apologies or for proof of their regret. Only stillness like a lake after the storm. And within that stillness, something miraculous happens. You begin to hear your own voice. Silence is the language of souls that have walked through fire. To those who've never faced their pain, silence feels empty. But to the awakened, silence is the temple of truth. It is not avoidance, but return. Only when the outer noise fades, the arguments, the justifications, the control, the effort to make others understand, can you hear the deep inner voice, "I am enough. I do not need recognition to exist." Carl Jung said, "What we deny in ourselves will arrive as fate." In its deepest sense, silence is the moment you stop resisting that fate. You no longer fight what has happened. You let it be. You let others be right if they need to be. You let the story end when it is over. You allow yourself to rest in the knowing that not everything must be understood, and not everyone must be kept. In silence, you look back at everything and realize you have lost nothing. You only lost the illusions that kept you blind. You simply set down the endless wars in which you tried to prove your worth to others. And when those battles cease, you see clearly. You never needed to be seen by anyone, you only needed to see yourself. There is a kind of silence that frightens people, the silence of someone who has reclaimed their power. Manipulators cannot survive in that space. They need your reactions, your defenses, your proof that you still care. But when you are silent, they have no fuel left. Your silence is a mirror reflecting that true power lies not in control, but in self-mastery. In the moment you choose silence over argument, you withdraw your soul from the old game, the game of emotional dependency. Jung said, "No one becomes whole by fleeing the darkness, but by walking through it." Silence is that road. When you are no longer driven to speak, explain, or prove, you are walking through your own darkness, where the fears of being misunderstood, forgotten, or wasted gradually dissolve. And on the far side of silence, you discover something else. You do not need to be heard to know you have value. You do not need anyone to confirm you are lovable. You know. As the soul ripens into that stillness, everything around you begins to shift. Those who once brought chaos drift away because their energy can no longer reach you. The real ones, the few who speak little but deep, begin to appear. Life becomes simple, not because it is less complex, but because you are no longer pulled into others' storms. You realize peace is not the absence of noise, it is the place where noise no longer has the power to stir you. Silence is also the stage where the soul prepares to be reborn. As the clamor fades, you start to hear life's subtler music, wind in the leaves, the beat of your heart, intuition whispering, "Keep going." You begin to live slowly, eat slowly, speak slowly, love slowly, not out of fear, but to feel. You stop seeking stimulation. You seek truth. You stop chasing answers. You seek clarity. And then one day you realize, this silence is the answer you once scoured the world to find. You understand that the end of a relationship, a season, or a chapter is not a void to be filled, but a space your soul needs to breathe again. You feel grateful to the one who hurt you, because without them you might never have learned how to be quiet without feeling alone. The silence after the storm is not avoidance, it is rebirth. In it, you learn that strength is not in the shout, but in the capacity to no longer need to shout. Love is not in proving, but in the ability to stay open without losing yourself. And peace does not arrive when the world changes, but when you no longer need it to. This is the moment your soul steps into true freedom, free from noise, from reaction, from roles. You don't need to say, "I've changed." Others will feel it in your quiet. For silence, in its deepest essence, is the language of a soul that has come home. Chapter 8. When the light in you no longer fears the dark. After silence has taught you to hear your soul, something quiet begins to happen. You start to shine. Not a loud, showy light that begs to be seen, but a natural radiance from within, calm and steady, like a lamp that has endured enough fire to know it need not fear the night. Carl Jung said, "No one reaches the light without passing through the darkness." Now you understand, strength is not born of avoiding pain, but of walking through it without losing yourself. You have moved through love and lust, through betrayal and forgiveness. You have learned to let go and to be silent. And now your soul touches the most sacred thing of all, peace that does not depend on anything. True peace doesn't arrive when life stops storming. It arrives when you can stand in the storm and feel the wind as part of your own breath. It comes when you no longer need life to be easy, others to understand you, or love to be perfect, and still your heart feels full. You stop chasing the light because you recognize you are the light. This light is nothing like the world's cult of forced positivity. It does not deny the dark. It embraces it. Without night, there would be no dawn. Without betrayal, you could not learn loyalty to yourself. Without those who felled you, you might never discover you could rise. True light does not exclude the dark, it invites it home to be reconciled. Jung called this the integration of the shadow. When you are brave enough to face your hidden corners without judgment, you don't just grow stronger, you become whole. You see that within you lives the gentle and the angry, The wounded and the healer, the victim and the creator. All coexist, all ask to be seen, all deserve acceptance. And when you stop fighting yourself, the outer world stops fighting you. This is the soul's quiet turning, the moment you stop living from ego and start living from awareness. Everything around you looks the same: work, family, relationships, the city, but you are different. You don't simply react, you choose your response. You don't control, you allow. You don't see others through right, wrong, but through what is this teaching me? In that instant, the light in you becomes a healing force, not only for yourself, but for everyone you touch. As you enter this stage, others will sense the change without you saying a word. They feel at ease around you, not because you try to be positive, but because your energy no longer swings with praise, blame, love, hate, near, far. You have become someone who needs no mirror, because you see yourself clearly. Here is the paradox of light. The brighter you become within, the more the outside darkness sometimes flares. Those not yet ready to face their shadows may experience you as a threat, because your light exposes what they want to hide. They may envy, attack, or withdraw. Instead of being wounded, you smile. You see this not as opposition, but as reflection, darkness thrashing, because it senses the light approaching. At this stage, everything carries meaning. Praise teaches humility. Criticism teaches non-dependence. Those who love you teach you to open. Those who leave teach you to stand firm. Every person, every event, every ache becomes a tile in a perfect mosaic. The portrait of becoming. This is rubedo in alchemy, the red stage, when the soul reaches its final radiance after being melted down and remade. No more fear, no more division, no more seeking. You live without being tossed by life. You love without losing yourself. You help without trying to save. You are present like light that knows itself to be light, needing no proof, comparison, or audience. Jung named this state individuation, full becoming, when a person embodies the very essence their soul was born to express. Not a copy of anyone, not ruled by the world's beliefs or fears commands, but a free, whole, awake being. And then you realize what this journey always meant to teach. Light and darkness were never enemies. They are two faces of one soul, learning to love itself. When you embrace both, you become entire. And when you are entire, you no longer search for heaven elsewhere, because you carry it within. That is absolute freedom. When the light in you no longer fears the dark. Chapter 9. When you become a healer without trying. Once your soul has learned to hold both light and shadow, something wondrous occurs. You begin to heal others not because you try, but because your very presence heals. You no longer need grand words, lessons, or proof that you've overcome. You simply are, and that is enough to make others feel safe. Jung said, "No one can lead another farther than they themselves have gone." Now you know. You illuminate the path for others because you have walked through your own night. Those once deeply wounded, when truly healed, don't speak of their wounds with bitterness. They speak with compassion. They no longer say, "They hurt me," but "They helped me see what I didn't yet know." They don't blame, resist, or need to win the story. They understand that every soul is learning its own lesson. And because they understand, they no longer judge. You notice you don't react to old energies as before. When someone shouts, you remain calm. When someone manipulates, you smile. When someone leaves, you bless them. Not because you are numb, but because you see that everything is a reflection of their energy. You don't need to push back, because nothing truly threatens your soul. In this phase, you become invisible in a profound way. The need for attention, love, or validation dissolves. You live quietly and simply, yet your actions radiate an indescribable force. You enter a room, and the air changes. You touch a shoulder, and the person breathes easier without knowing why. Not because you are a savior, but because your energy has returned to its original state. Still, spacious, pure. You no longer heal anyone, because you know no one truly needs healing. They need to be seen. When you look at them without judgment, expectation, or control, their soul begins to heal itself. Light doesn't do anything, it simply is, and the darkness dissolves. This is the power of one who has crossed the dark without losing kindness. You stop speaking in terms of them and me because you see only souls acting out the same play of evolution. Those who once hurt you, you now behold with mercy. You need not return, reconcile, or befriend. It is enough to recognize they are where you once were, lost in the maze of the unconscious, trying to control the fear of abandonment. Quietly you wish them a way out, knowing no soul awakens before it is ready. With this peace, the love in you changes. It is no longer a thirst to receive, but a natural flow to give. You love without possessing. You help without needing thanks. You show up without wearing the Savior's mask. Because you understand, true love does not need to do, it needs only to be. Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Now you see you are that reaction. Everywhere you go, everyone you meet is touched by the field of a soul that has made peace with itself. You no longer search for companions. You create space for others to walk their own way. You no longer ask, "Who will understand me?" You whisper, "I understand me." This is what people call radiant peace, a soft light, not dazzling but penetrating. It does not emanate from the ego, but from the centered soul. When you speak, your words land deep. When you are silent, your silence invites self-reflection. When you smile, someone's fear loosens. Not because you aim to influence, but because you live at the frequency of truth. You realize healing is no longer an action. It is the natural state of being. Just as the sun does not try to shine, you do not try to love. And when you live this way, the universe rearranges around you. Those seeking light will find you not because you advertise, but because their souls recognize yours. Now you grasp the meaning of the road behind you. Pain was not an enemy, but a guide. Departures were not losses, but initiations. You look back and see nothing was wasted. Every wound, every night of tears, every collapse was a step leading you here to the place where you are a healer without trying. And in that deep stillness, you hear your soul whisper, "You have come home. Now live and let the light spread." Chapter 10, When the Soul Comes Home. At this point, the journey is no longer a road to be traveled, it is a return. You are no longer searching, no longer trying to become someone, no longer craving healing, enlightenment, or some lofty attainment. Because you realize that every effort, however sacred, merely traced circles around one point, the center of the soul. And now, after years of wandering, you have found your way back. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." That sentence is no longer philosophy, it is your lived reality. You have looked outside enough. The romances, the losses, the dreams, the escapes, all of it was a mirror of yourself. And now, when you look within, you no longer see chaos but order, not estrangement but meaning, not the other, only the many parts of you playing roles, learning to love, to let go, to return. When the soul comes home, the world doesn't change the way you see it does. You no longer divide things into good and bad, right and wrong, light and dark. You see movement. Everything becoming like an ocean, forever making waves without ever leaving itself. You understand that darkness is also an expression of light, simply in a form we are not yet ready to accept. In this state, your heart opens not with blazing passion, but with deep kindness. You no longer love out of need, but out of being. You no longer help from fear of others' suffering, but because compassion is the soul's natural nature. You stop asking, "How do I become happy?" You see that happiness is the soul's pulse beating in rhythm with the universe. Those who once hurt you become symbols in memory, no longer tied to resentment, but to gratitude. You look back and see they taught you to rise, to see your true worth, to love without losing yourself. They didn't destroy you, they destroyed your illusion of yourself. Only then could the true self be born. In that clarity, you smile to yourself. Everything was perfect, even the pain. When the soul comes home, you slow down. You no longer need to compete or prove. You eat and feel grateful for flavor. You breathe and feel grateful for existence. You stop waiting for something big because you realize the miracle is already here. In morning bird song, sunlight on your skin, a family embrace, and your own gaze in the mirror. Every moment is a miracle when you are fully present. Jung likened the spiritual path to individuation, where the small self joins the whole, where the human meets the divine. That is what happens when the soul returns home. You are no longer a person seeking God, but God experiencing itself through you. Every breath, every thought, every step becomes the music of consciousness recognizing itself. Here you become free in the deepest way. No one can pull you from your center because you know nothing outside can add to or subtract from your value. You can love, lose, leave, begin again without bondage. You know every beginning and ending is simply life breathing itself. You no longer want to teach anything. You want to live as evidence. Evidence that one can walk through the hell of emotion without becoming bitter. That one can live in a chaotic world and keep a gentle heart. That one can be betrayed and still believe in love. Because now you do not love to be loved. You love because love is the nature of existence. When you live like this, other souls recognize you not with the eyes but with energy. They feel safe near you because you want nothing from them. You do not pull, save, or possess. You simply are, and in that presence they begin to remember themselves. This is the moment when the journey ends and begins at once. The soul never stops, it only moves through deeper levels of awareness. You know there is no destination to reach, only the state of being. When the soul comes home, you become like breath light, natural and full of life. You no longer fear loss, because you see there is nothing to lose. You no longer fear death, because you have learned how to truly live. And you no longer fear the dark, because you know the light in you never goes out. Thus the journey closes in a perfect circle, from unconsciousness to consciousness, from brokenness to wholeness, from seeking to returning. And within that circle, you smile a quiet, simple smile that holds a universe. For at last, you see, every soul is on its way home. And when you truly return, you no longer ask for directions. Few are the way. When the soul has come home, we imagine the journey is over. In truth, it is the beginning of a deeper tier of awareness, where you no longer see life through me and them, good and evil, arrival and departure, but recognize that all souls are woven into the same sacred web of destiny. No one is truly a stranger. No one enters by accident. No meeting is wrong. Each person, even for a moment, carries a fragment of your soul's memory, a lesson you have yet to complete. Chapter 11, Karmic Threads and the Meeting of Souls. If a stranger has ever made your heart tremble as if long familiar, or someone you just met stirred fear, anger, or tears you can't explain, that is not random. In the language of the soul, karma is seeking a way to be resolved. Across ancient traditions, the universe is moved not by chance, but by cause and connection. Buddhism calls it dependent origination. Hinduism calls it karma and dharma. Christian mysticism sees providence. Sufism calls it sacred love, the love of God hidden in human form. Everyone you meet is a prop in the soul's play, in which you are simultaneously actor, director, and audience. These souls do not only come to love you, they come to activate you. Some help you remember unconditional love. Others awaken your fear of abandonment. Some arrive so you can learn forgiveness. Others so you can learn to leave. The one you call enemy may have been your confidant in another life, both of you promising to help each other finish a lingering darkness. The one you call destiny may simply be the keeper of a mirror to show you yourself. Once you grasp this, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, what is this here to teach? Every wound becomes a classroom, every meeting a test, every parting a graduation. In the soul's language, there is no failure, only evolution. Buddhism holds that those we love most and those we resist most are souls bound to us across lives. When the work remains unfinished, they meet again to give, receive, and release. No one comes or leaves you except at the exact time needed for both souls to mature. The early arrival teaches you to open. The later arrival teaches you to guard your heart. The one who leaves teaches you to keep your peace when no one remains. Hinduism goes further. Each soul incarnates carrying karma, old debt, and dharma, new calling. The people you meet are not only karma, they are sacred collaborators helping you fulfill that calling. Teacher, lover, betrayer, passerby, all play roles in a script you agreed to before birth. Awakening turns your gaze into gratitude. You see that the one who hurt you did not truly harm you, they led you closer to the unhealed within. The one who made you weep did not break you, they rinsed what had hardened for too long. The one who confused you did not erase you, they turned you back to your true center. Knowing this, you begin to walk more lightly. You stop demanding perfection from others. You no longer need to control or to flee. You let people pass through your life like guests in a sacred monastery, each bearing a gift, whether wrapped in silver paper or in a wound. At the deepest level, you understand we never picked the wrong person. We picked the right person to learn the right lesson. And when the lesson completes, the relationship dissolves like morning mist, without grand endings, without blame. As the mystics say, no one truly leaves souls, only change roles. So be grateful even for the souls who hurt you. They did not come to punish, they came to perfect. They are the remaining pieces of you in the great play called Awakening. When you see every meeting with those eyes, no more strangers, no more accidents, no more hatred, you finally grasp the meaning of the path. No one is born to repeat. All are born to complete. This is the final wisdom of a soul that has come home. Every soul you meet is a mirror of your own sacredness, and every encounter, whether beginning or ending, is a blessing. Chapter 12, The Collective Soul, When Love Becomes a Calling. When you've completed your own journey from hurt to healing, from loss to awakening, from solitude to homecoming, something wondrous begins. You no longer see life as a string of personal trials, but as a symphony of souls in which everyone is playing with you. This is where the individual path dissolves into the collective one. Jung called this the union with the self, the point at which the small ego no longer needs to prove itself, but longs to serve. And here you realize healing yourself is the most sacred act you can offer the world. Why? Because when you heal, your energy changes. You stop reacting from fear and begin responding with awareness. You stop trying to control and learn to trust. In the stillness of heart, you become a healing field for anyone who enters your orbit. No words, no effort by your very presence. You are a candle in the night. Those who once hurt you appear in memory no longer as enemies, but as messengers of lessons. You don't force forgiveness as a moral duty because in your heart there is nothing left to forgive. You see clearly. They too were wounded and wrestling with their darkness. You are not different from them. You simply walked through the night a step earlier. Buddhism calls this state bodhicitta, awakened compassion, where loving kindness flows not from sentiment, but from wisdom. When you see someone in pain, you don't rush to save them to prove your goodness. You act because you understand. You have been there. You know the path. And when compassion rises beyond emotional empathy, it becomes the soul's mission. From here, you begin to live differently. You no longer ask, what do I get? But what can I offer that is true from my heart? You no longer try to avoid suffering because you understand suffering can be a road to truth. You no longer chase anyone for love because you know you are the source of it. In Hinduism, this is seva service as an act of the soul, not an obligation. In Christian mysticism, it is agape, unconditional, indiscriminate love. In Sufism, it is divine love, where the lover and God are no longer two. And in Jung's language, this is individuation fulfilled the recognition that you are not merely a psychological self, but a shard of cosmic consciousness contemplating itself through billions of faces. Now, your smallest actions carry power. A gentle word can awaken someone. A peaceful gaze can dissolve resentment. A timely silence can bring a soul back into balance. Not because you are grand, but because your energy has become transparent, allowing the divine to move through without distortion by ego. You realize the world does not need more perfect people. It needs honest ones willing to face their own shadow, to embrace it, and to alchemize it into light. Each time one person awakens, humanity lifts. Each time you choose peace over retaliation, the universe tilts a degree. Each time you choose love over fear, the shared darkness thins. So you stop searching for your purpose. Your awakened presence is the purpose. You become a lamplighter in the night. No preaching, no noise, no display, simply presence. For true light never says, I am light. It simply shines. Jung wrote, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. You have done this not only for yourself, but for the collective soul to which you belong. And now, walking through the world without separation or fear, you whisper the one sentence every soul understands. We are going home together. Chapter 13. When love becomes a shared light. When a soul awakens, its light doesn't stop at its own skin. It spreads quietly, formlessly, but undeniably. At the highest level, love is no longer a feeling between two people. It is a field that holds all humanity. Jung said, there can be no transforming of darkness into light and of apathy into movement without emotion. And he taught that no change in the world begins without change in a single soul. That is the seed of collective awakening. In the moment you choose silence over revenge, countless karmic spirals come to rest. In the moment you choose understanding over hatred, the collective current shifts. In the moment you choose forgiveness not from weakness, but from insight, a layer of humanity's shadow dissolves. Awakening is never purely personal. It is resonant. Like a candle lit in the dark, your flame immediately stirs the memory of thousands of other candles, souls ready but asleep. You need not persuade. Real energy needs no argument. It reaches others through the serenity you carry. Buddhism calls this the bodhisattva heart, the one who has crossed suffering but does not leave the world. Instead, they return to the crowd to lift others. Sufism calls it the love of God in human form, every heart, a small sanctuary where the divine and the human meet. In Jung's terms, this is the self widening the individual, becoming a bridge between the collective unconscious and universal consciousness. You begin to recognize no one is truly alone. Every thought, feeling, and act vibrates in humanity's invisible web. When you heal, you help those who cannot yet name their pain. When you release, you lighten the energetic atmosphere we all breathe. When you choose love, you do God's work not by miracle, but by frequency of presence. One day you will see this with plain eyes. People around you begin to change, not because you taught them, but because they feel safe near you, safe to be honest, soft, and real. Light spreads not through words, but through resonance. You don't have to heal the world. You need only become someone who is healed. Jung likened human beings to points of light in the cosmic net. When one point brightens, the others quiver. Awakening does not erupt as a single grand explosion. It travels like dawn, heart to heart. When love has moved beyond form, it has no name. No longer I love you or I forgive you, but a pure presence in which every soul is seen, understood, and accepted. At that level, there are no good or bad people, only souls passing through different stages of the same evolution. And you, who have walked through your private hell, now understand. No one is truly evil, only souls in pain who haven't yet found their way home. No one is truly lost, only those who haven't heard their own call. Seeing this, your heart softens. You no longer care to win or condemn. You simply wish to be here and to radiate. You live as a courier of light, not preaching, not proving, but so authentic that others feel like waking up. This is where the personal path merges with the collective. When you smile, people feel safe. When you are at peace, fear loosens around you. When you love, the world becomes a little safer. That isn't poetry. It is the physics of the soul. Collective awakening doesn't arrive through grand ceremonies or lofty proclamations. It happens each time an ordinary person chooses love over hate, presence over escape, light over fear of the dark. And if you've ever wondered, who am I in this whole? The answer is simple. You are a wave in the ocean. Not separate, not isolated. When you rise, the ocean rises. When you rest, the ocean rests. Jung said, "We do not live only our personal lives. We live the life of humanity." To know this is the moment you shift from individual to collective, from student to guide, from seeker to sower. This is the highest octave of love. No longer love between persons, but love as the nature of existence. When you become that love, you need not say, "I love the world," for you are the world loving. When the journey comes to a close, you suddenly realize no ending truly exists. Every encounter, every wound, every tear shed, all were steps on the path back to yourself. The people you once loved, resented, lost, or met only once, all of them were mirrors reflecting your soul. No one arrived by accident. No one left too soon. They came as angels in disguise, sometimes wearing the face of a betrayer, a lover, or a stranger only to set fire to the darkness you hadn't yet dared to face. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that is the final gift every soul leaves behind for you. The chance to see yourself through them, to understand that every pain was never a punishment but an invitation, to remember who you are, to remember the light you carried before the world made you forget. When you grasp this, your heart releases all resentment. You no longer need revenge, justification, or validation. You only need to be fully present, awake, and kind. You look upon the world with eyes that have known tears, and precisely because of that, you see its beauty more clearly than anyone else. There are no longer the right or the wrong, only souls learning how to love through different forms. No longer me and them, only us weaving the web of destiny together, evolving through each touch, each fracture, each awakening. And at the deepest level, you understand, no one saves anyone. We only help each other remember so that we may return together to the light. And so, you walk on carrying not fear, but gratitude. Gratitude for those who came, gratitude for those who left. Gratitude even for the days that felt lost because they too led you home to your center. Now, you no longer seek signs from the universe, because you realize you are the sign. You are the completed lesson, the light returned to its source. And if someone were to ask, what was the meaning of all these encounters, you would smile and say, to remind me that no one is ever truly a stranger. We are only helping each other remember the way home.